It's the silent demon poisoning the minds of our youth from within their own bedroom walls, leaving them grappling with severe body image issues and eating disorders. Now, there are urgent calls for a crackdown to protect them from toxic social media.
It's kind of impossible to avoid seeing these idealized versions of people.
Young people themselves know it's a problem.
I've had friends who've been very jealous of what other people have.
They feel that, oh, I'm not that good looking and I'm not that fit.
Now, experts are pushing for change, urging the government to act on 21 new recommendations from a roundtable aimed at reducing harm for Aussie kids and teens struggling with body image.
Over the last decade or so, we have seen the prevalence of eating disorders in youth almost double. It is now 12% of 10 to 19-year-olds with an eating disorder. We have never seen numbers like this before.
The raft of proposals includes e-safety laws that would force tech giants like Instagram and Facebook to remove content promoting eating disorders or be slapped with fines.
Where I'd like to get to is a duty of care on the platforms so that the responsibility is not on the user to manage what they're receiving, rather on the platforms to manage what they're delivering.
Social media companies would also be required to enable users to reset their algorithms and opt out of content, and to feature diverse physical appearances in their ads.
We know that if we can get more diverse bodies, so bodies, shape, size, colour, into advertisements, that is very supportive and healthy for all of the people who are consuming that media.
The experts also recommend that platforms should block beauty filters for all accounts of users under the age of 18. Now, that includes any filter that changes someone's appearance based on beauty ideals, whether that be slimming your face, enlarging their lips, smoothing out their skin. The list goes on and on and on and on and on.
I think a lot of people, they look at the image and they're like, oh man, why can't I look like this?
I've done it myself, try to get acne out of photos and things like that.
The government says improving online safety is a key priority and that the recommendations are being considered as part of the review of the Online Safety Act. So, as social media continues to force-feed young users a diet of toxic content and unrealistic images, what action should be taken to protect vulnerable Aussies' minds?
We are live from the lands of the Kulin Nation, of course. Joining us now, Varsha Yajman, who's experienced living with an eating disorder and took part in the roundtable. Varsha, at the peak of your disorder, what were the types of things that you were looking at online?
Yeah, so I turned to social media to find validation, to find support, because I think being a person of colour, it's sometimes hard to find that within our own communities, especially talking about eating disorders. So I went to go and see some sort of supportive or validating content, but instead I was inundated with what I eat in a day and inspiration and how I can lose this amount of weight but still be healthy and still support this idea of wellness, when a lot of those times, especially these recovery accounts or so-called recovery accounts, aren't actually about that. So it was quite misleading. It was really telling me that they were trying to support my well-being, when in fact it was just cheat days and those kinds of things that they were promoting.
Well, what do you think then about this idea of letting people reset their algorithm? Because by the sounds of it, is it futile in the end?
I think resetting your algorithm can be so good just because it allows you to kind of have that clean start. And I think for a lot of us, we do try and get them. We're like, oh, I'm just going to hit not interested, not interested, not interested on 5 different posts, but it still doesn't work. So by resetting your algorithm, that actually does give you that clean slate. And I know for me, that would have been so helpful in my recovery initially.
It sounds like what you need is an alternative algorithm. So you should actually download the one that says beer and footy or whatever, and then that's your starting point, and you're 1,000,000 miles away.
You with an algorithm of beer and footy. That's it.
So Varsha, what do you think of these recommendations more broadly? Do you think that if these changes had been made earlier, things would have been different for you? Do they go far enough?
Yeah, so if these recommendations had been in place when I began my eating disorder, my entire life would be different, to be quite honest, because I just know that I didn't have the support around me at the time to actually find how to access the healthcare system or how to do any of those things. So I turned to social media. Social media showed me no representation of brown women. It showed me no representation of diverse body types. So I felt powerless, and I was just consuming this content that was constantly given to me. And if there had been some sort of accountability from the government or these corporations that are promoting this content and really capitalizing off of mental illness at the end of the day, my entire life would have been changed. My healing process would have been much quicker if a lot of this content wasn't even on there in the first place. And a major part of these recommendations is also having education programs. And I know for me, when I was younger, if I had had awareness about what eating disorders are, if there had been media literacy training, then we'd be able to use social media in a way that's a bit more conducive to actual wellness and actual health.
Also, when in doubt, go to the footy. Just a thought. Varsha, thank you so much for speaking to us tonight.
No, thank you so much.
And if you do need help, support is available through the Butterfly Foundation on 1800 33 4673, and also, of course, the Kids Helpline, 1800 55 1800.